while ago about legacies. And one of the things that, I stand before you today, and I've been very blessed with, was to leave a sports legacy. And that was that home run. That home run did turn around the World Series, did do that. It was something that, as a ball player for the early '90 Yankees, we weren't very good. And as time progressed, I became the senior member of the '96 team, and we ended up winning the World Series that year. And I'll tell you what, being the losing team in the early '90s to the winning team in the '96, it's pretty cool to win in New York.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty cool, and we weren't sure how it was going to happen. And by the way, the 6th inning of that game 4, I was worried about what was going to happen too. I wasn't quite in the game at that point. But one of the things like Pastor mentioned, I have 3 boys myself. And as much as I left a sports legacy, the lifestyle of a baseball player, the temptations of a baseball player, I wasn't quite leaving a life legacy. And I had 3 kids, or at that time I had 2 kids. But any of you that don't know the story, I just got a real quick video that I want to play. Can we pull that up? This is kind of a quick synopsis for those guys that don't know who I am. If you Googled me, thanks for still coming. I know what the media says and what Google says, but this is kind of just a quick video that I put together to give you an idea of everything that I've gone through. We got it. Everything that I've done is really in my career. Everything that I've done is really in my career and in my personal life is all about never giving up, always having faith, and just get through everything.
It doesn't get me better than that, and I think most people know that New York is center stage. And when you win in New York, people never forget you. I've always said that I've really never learned life-changing lessons from my successes, but I have learned a great deal from losing. As a professional athlete, I think sometimes we think we're invincible. We think nothing can ever stop us, nothing can ever get in our way.
UI, and in 2007 crash that killed a mother of 2 in Florida. He did spend some time in jail.
When you make a decision to have an age range, whether it's 1, whether it's 10, you have to realize that getting down into a car is you're facing serious consequences.
When you go through something as tragic as this, where someone loses their life.
She was the woman in the other car was drunk.
Yes.
And she was texting.
Text messaging, speeding. I mean, there was just a lot of different things that were happening. But the bottom line is, even the smell of alcohol in your breath, anything like that, there could be some serious consequences. And of course, that night, she lost her life. And
I just realized I would say to young people, this isn't worth it. I just want to be able to show them that, listen, I was this World Series hero, the top of the world in '96 and even '99 throughout my career. But all of that can change because of one bad decision. That decision that night was to even have a couple of drinks and drive. What a valuable lesson that I think that I can teach other kids and other people that I'm fortunate to be able to be here. At the same time, in that accident, it cost one person her life, and then it also cost me pretty much everything that I had at the time.
Okay. That's pretty much it in a nutshell right there. From the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And one of the things that my life has always been about is overcoming odds, overcoming obstacles. And a lot of it was through faith. And I was brought up in a Methodist house. My father was pretty religious. We went to church every Sunday. I went to Bible class on Wednesdays. And I thought I was growing up a pretty good Christian boy. I always make the joke that I dated a Catholic girl through high school. At one point I was engaged to a Jewish girl for 4 years. I've kind of done the whole gamut of all the religions. So I kind of get a little bit about it, but the one thing that I really never did is, as a ball player, when you played in the early 90s, it wasn't hip to show your faith. It wasn't like it is now with Jeremy Lin and Tim Tebow and those guys. Back then, you know what, you kind of we called them the God Squad, and they were kind of cast out. And it was difficult because, you know, as a city boy from Cincinnati, or a country boy from Cincinnati, coming to the big city, I wanted to kind of fit in. And, you know, I enjoyed the nightlife in New York. I enjoyed the plays, the shows, the whole thing. And then every Sunday at the ballpark, we had a pastor that would come in and speak. And we would have our Sunday service. And the biggest joke that Joe Girardi and some of the guys that we called the God Squad that would always say to me would be like, when I walked in the room, it would be like, okay, where's the lightning? Because, you know, we know what you do Saturday through, you know, the rest of the week. You know, do you really think this is, you know, and they try to talk to me about it. One of the hardest things I had to do with most of the guys that were these born-again Christians were ex-drug addicts, alcoholics, things that, you know, and they had overcome an addiction to something else, and thank God it was the addiction. But as somebody that didn't have those issues, it was hard for me to kind of say, you know, I don't have those problems. You know, I worship, I believe in God, you know, I don't have those things. Well, that's where my misconception started. And again, I had a great career. You know, you guys, I'm sure most of you Yankee fans sat there and rooted on some of those big series that we had. You know, one of the stories I always tell about the 96 home run is I hit the home run that night. The next morning I'm getting phone calls. And it's people calling me saying, you know, talking about the home run. Well, then I finally had enough of them because we had been out all night partying after that because we won that game. I had to catch the next day, and I wanted to get at least a couple hours of sleep. So I told my wife, I said, listen, no more phone calls. I don't want to hear any more about the home run. I don't want to talk about it anymore. This one woman called up. Her name was Susan Forrest, and she wrote for the Post. And she called up, and my wife said, you know, he's not taking any more interviews. He's not talking anymore. You know, and she said, no, this has nothing to do with the home run. I have some news about these two foster kids that he was supporting, and that I had taken to a Yankee game earlier in the year. And she wanted to let me know that the morning of my home run, before the home run, they were adopted into a family. Yeah. And yeah. And as you can imagine, that pretty much put the home run on the back burner. It was like two little boys now were going to wake up every day with a mother there to love them, to care for them, someone there. And it was, you know, again, it put my home run in perspective. And that's kind of where, you know, I didn't get it all at the time. And again, by 2000, 2001, we had won again in 1999. I hit the last home run of the century in 1999, another great moment. I was on the losing end in actually 98 with the Padres when I lost to my best friends. You know, and the funny story on that one is, you know, Mr. Steinbrenner, who, you know, obviously after the 96 home run loved me, we were leaving the stadium and the locker rooms were right next to each other. And as I left to go into the tunnel to walk down, David Wells grabs me and pulls me in the Yankee locker room. Now, you know, Mr. Steinbrenner's in there, he sees me, and he's like, hey, you know, you were the king of New York. You the king of San Diego? And I was like, well, what do you want? And he said, well, we need someone to go celebrate the World Series. It's like, oh, okay. You just beat me 4 games, okay? And you want me to throw your party for you? Well, sure enough, because I loved him so much, God rest his soul, that we had the, I actually called up Junior Seau, and we had the party at his place. Again, just, you know, just one of those things that very blessed to be able to have, you know, those type of things happening. The one thing that I still never had, I was dedicated to my career. I was dedicated to baseball. But in my marriage and in my personal life, my ex-wife and I say ex because that way you guys understand what happened. My ex-wife and I, we didn't live really a very moral life. I always keep it, you know, PC for the kids in here. We live the rock and roll lifestyle, and so you older people know what that means. And the way I looked at it,